Hello, welcome. Thanks for joining. And today we're going to cover an interesting topic, all right? And you can define it in so many ways. I ask people from different age ranges, who have different mindsets and what they think about this topic we're covering today, retirement. All right. I personally define retirement as that point in time where I stop working for someone and can start living my best life. That is retirement for me. And so, as young as you are, as old as you are, you can decide to retire. But what are your options? Because of course, when you stop working, you still need an influx of cash. You still need an income, a source of income. And so, what are your options when you look at the United States spectrum? I'm focusing my case study in the United States, all right? If you're in Africa, or you're in Asia, or you're in Canada, or any other country, this may not apply to you, right? We have what most of us are used to, which is a 401k, right? Most of us are used to what corporate America offers us. Corporate America, in most cases, are going to offer you these: a 401k, 403b, there's an IRA or Roth. These are just some of the tools that are exposed to us that you can utilize to plan for your retirement, all right? And these, of course, for someone who doesn't know any better, these are okay. But when you start digging deep, and just start understanding how this 401ks and these 403bs and the rest work, you're gonna understand that successful people don't rely on this, right? Because when you have your money sitting in a 401k, for example, you're basically postponing, the distribution of your funds until you get to 65. As a matter of fact, you're literally just saying, I'm not gonna use any of my money right now. I'm gonna wait until I'm old. I'm gonna wait until I'm 65. 401k, Roth IRAs, or IRAs work in the same way, all right? And what happens with you when your money is sitting in these buckets is that you don't get to distribute that money until you get to, age 65, or in some cases 59 and a half, depending, or a little bit older. And so the money in this account is growing in a kind of unstable way, right? We're basically just saying that you're putting money in this account in the hopes that it grows this way, that it keeps growing as much as you're putting in there. But the reality is far from this. The reality is that your 401k functions in more of an variable strategy like that. So it keeps doing this, all right? It may end up in the low or it may end up in the high, it doesn't matter. But this is what you experience. Instead of growing this way as we expect, this is what it does. So which basically means you could be putting money in a 401k in the hopes of it growing. It could grow for a couple of years, a couple of months, but whenever the market takes a nosedive, like right here, and this could be as an effect of many variables. Could be the stock market crashing. Could be a new government, a new change in the IRS code, something that could tilt the performance of the stock market that affects your 401k. So imagine right here you're at 20 years old. Your hopes is to get to 65 years old and retire. But guess what? You save up for a couple of years and you lose money. Then you recover for like 5 years. Then you lose, some more. Then you try to recover. I talk to a lot of people who are already in their 65s and up, 67, some 70s, who are still working. They're not working because they want to work. They're working because they don't have an option. Because they're dependent on a broken system. This is a 401k or 403b. This basically what the system has in store for you. All right. So when you base your retirement on this, you're not guaranteed that you're going to have funds ready for you when you retire. Another thing to consider or to look at, when you're utilizing this strategy is the distributions here. What that distributions, I mean, how is it liquid? It's not liquid because you have to wait until you're 65, of course. But if you try to take money out of your 401k before you get to 65, what happens? You pay penalties, right? There's a 10% penalty that you need to pay, and there's a 30% tax that you need to pay. So in reality, what you're paying is about 40% tax each time you try to distribute money from your 401k. So that basically means if you had saved up about $100,000 in your 401k and you have an emergency and you need money desperately, and you go to your 401k company, it could be Fidelity or Principal or Vanguard or Transamerica, could be whatever company is holding your 401k. If you go to them and you want to distribute money before you retire, all right, you're required to pay 40% in taxes. So that basically means if you want to take out $60,000 for whatever reason, 60,000K, you're going to have to pay 40% of this. This is how much you're going to be losing. You're going to lose 40% of your funds, all right? And the myth, the misconception that most people have, and it's alarming, the rate at which people actually think that when they get to 65 years old, that when they are 65 years of age, guess what? They don't pay taxes on the money that is sitting in their 401k. That's a myth, right? That's a misconception, because the reality is the only thing you don't pay when you get to 65 years old is this 10% tax. You don't pay the 10% tax, but you still get to pay, the taxes according to what tax bracket you fall in. By tax bracket, I mean when someone retires, they look at what they have in their 401k, they look at their dependencies. Remember, when you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, early 60s, you're probably raising a family. You have dependencies, you have kids that are below 18 years old, so those are considered dependents. Now, when you're above 65, or when you're nearing 65 and about to retire, most of your kids are above 18 years old. So when they look at your income versus your responsibilities according to the IRS or according to the system are very minimal. So they look at all of that and they put you in a tax bracket, all right? There are some metrics that go into, of course, the tax bracket, but if you end up in a 20% tax bracket, for example, that basically means that for the rest of your life, from 65 and up, you're going to be paying 20% of whatever you distribute from your account. Remember, right now the IRS is saying, don't pay taxes right now. You're going to pay taxes when you retire at 65 and up. All right? So that means all the money you're putting in right now is pre-tax, so it's not taxed yet. But when you get to 65, that's when they're going to tax you, or when you start distributing money from this account, that's when they're going to tax you. So they put you in a tax bracket. Could be 20, could be 30%, could be whatever percent, right? When you compare how much the IRS or the government owes right now, over 31 trillion, if I'm not over exaggerating the numbers, $31 trillion. So I can only predict, I can only assume, not predict, I can only assume that taxes are only going higher, all right? So if taxes are 20, 30% right now, I imagine in the next 20 or 30 years, it will be much higher. So you get there and they put you in a tax bracket, and this is how much you pay to the IRS each time you want to distribute money from this. And guess what? The IRS has rules in place, because I talk to other people who assume, what if I don't distribute my money at 65? Guess what? There is something called an RMD. I don't know, I'm running out of space to write things. There's something called an RMD, required minimum distribution. Required minimum distribution. This basically means that the IRS forces you to distribute money from your policy or from your account when you're 62. I think it's 62 if I'm not getting the numbers wrong. So at 62 years old, if you have not distributed money from your 401k or 403b or your IRAs, the IRS forces you to do that. The reason it forces you, and guess what? When they have to force you to distribute the money, they tax you at 50% or more. All right? So imagine that for a second. So you rather take your money when you're 65, and if you don't, you pay almost double the taxes that you were supposed to pay. Now, what is the alternative? There is this saying, if you want to be successful, do what successful people do. So what is it that the successful people have kind of figured out? Now, this is just a summary, all right? We can go into more details of how this works. This is a summary. I leave savings right here because savings would be if you're planning to retire with money you put in your savings account. I can dig right deep into that. I'm going to make another video analyzing your savings account. But just for clarity, your savings account is growing by a mediocre 0.02% or 0.05%. So it would take you a zillion years to even grow your money. So I'm not even talking on that. All right. So what are the alternatives? This is what most of us are exposed to. Middle class America, middle and poor America. All right. This is what successful people do differently. And you may argue with me all day long, but the reality hits you when you get to 65. Now, you can either wait and get to 65 and find out, or you can at least do some research and make sure that you're doing things right. All right. Now, you can utilize something called an index annuity, or annuities in general, because there are different types of annuities. There are variable annuities and fixed annuities. All right. But so I say index annuities because in here I'm going to explain how it works compared to this. or there is something called an IUL. And I know, legally this is not supposed to be a retirement vehicle. But when you when you do some research and you read on how IULs work, it happens to be a life insurance policy, by the way. It happens to be a life insurance policy with other benefits. I'm gonna make another video just talking about the benefits of owning this. But for retirement purposes alone, all right. I just want to explain, just because it has the word index in there, forget the part about the life insurance. But the part that it has index in there, right? This is what I'm gonna explain. How does indexing work? This is how indexing works compared to your 401k or compared to your variable. This, I would say, variable. This right here would be index. So how does indexing work? This is how a typical index account works. This is how it grows. All right. So while the stock market or this portfolio performs this way, an index account grows this way. So you have your money sitting in an index account, could be an index annuity or an index universal life insurance policy. Guess what happens? When the market is appreciating like it's doing right here, when the market is trending upwards, your account is trending upwards. Now, the average person would lose money when the market tanks, when the market takes this nosedive right here. But guess what happens to someone if they have the money sitting in an index account? They lock whatever gains they've made. As a matter of fact, they don't lose any money. The account stays level or even appreciates depending on what type of account you're using. All right, it can either stay level, which means you're not losing a single dollar of your money. Your account is always trending upwards, or it stays the same. And when the market is appreciating, like right here, your account appreciates as well. When it's tanking, again, you lock whatever gains you've made. You don't lose anything. The same process continues. With this one, at least you are guaranteed that you're not losing your previous high. Your account is always growing from your previous high. So you're at least guaranteed that if you want to retire here at 40 years old or 50 or 60 or whatever years old you want to retire, you're not sure when, if it falls somewhere here, then you're toast. Then you've lost a chunk of your money. Now you're lucky if it falls here. But again, how long does it stay here? Not too long. So even in your retirement, I know people that have retired and gotten to 70 years old and the market takes a negative nosedive, and guess what? They have no choice because it's wiped out all their retirement funds. So they have to come back and start working in their 70s because they still have some responsibilities to take care of. But in an account like this one, you're at least sure that your account is always trending upwards, so there is no fear of what if the market does what. All right. The good thing is designed correctly. Right? If you talk to a financial professional who understands how to design a perfect index account, guess what happens? This account grows tax-free. You pay 0% in taxes when you distribute money from this one in particular, an index universal life. Now, don't get me wrong. When you have money growing in an annuity, what you gain is this. What you gain is that your money never goes below its previous high. That's the gain. All right. If you try to distribute money from there, you may pay penalties and you may pay taxes as well, right? And when you get to retirement, you still get to, of course, pay taxes because you're still going to be placed in the tax bracket. But the thing is, you would rather have your money growing consistently, right? You would rather have your money growing consistently than this, all right? But if you want the added advantage of growing your money tax-free, in addition to growing it consistently, then you will want to look into how you can, utilize something called an IUL. All right. Now there is a book I want to recommend. I love books. Books is I think these are the wonders of the world. This right here, because you learn so much. There is so much out there you could learn if you just, put an hour a day and read a book. All right. This book right here, it says The Power of Zero. The Power of Zero, how you can end up in a zero tax bracket, all right? How to get the zero tax bracket and transform your retirement. This book is very, 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 very insightful and valuable. It just teaches you how you can move your money, start moving your money from a taxable account to a non-taxable account. From a taxable to a non-taxable. And you can do this, you can do a rollover into an index annuity from a 401k legally. You can legally roll over your money from a 401k or 403b or an IRA into an index annuity. You can't do that to an IUL though. You cannot do that legally. So you can legally move your money over, roll over your money to an index annuity. Avoid going through the downward, through the variable, trend, and into a more consistent and stable, steady growth of your funds. All right. I hope this has been insightful. Pick up this book, read it, learn from it. Make sure you share this content, and of course, reach out to me, via the comment or my phone number. Visit our website, francilfinancialservices.com. Check out our services, and of course, we are here to help you gain, a more guaranteed and safe retirement. Thank you so much, and have a blessed day.